sociology, you're supposed to understand science and technology, you're supposed to understand new techniques which are coming up, right? Because nowadays in administration, new techniques are being used. That is why the syllabus is designed that way. And again, aptitude jo test hai, that tries to understand what is your outlook towards job. Do you have that administrative aptitude, right? So caliber is the first thing. Second, and very important, very, very important, is integrity, right? And there is a whole different subject for that. uh, GS paper 4, ethics and integrity, right? One thing that we look forward to as far as bureaucrats are concerned is they should be honest to the job, right? They should have integrity of the purpose, huh? And that is why UPSC has got one separate paper to test this. We know the amount of corruption that happens in a particular political system. We cannot be idealistic while looking at these things. Corruption is there in most of the political systems. We look forward to minimize it, right? And from that perspective, this element becomes very important, integrity, right? Then there would be elaborate training for the candidate after recruitment. UPSC does the part of recruitment, and the list given by UPSC is forwarded to DOPT, Department of Training and Personnel. And then the students who are recruited by Union Public Service Commission would be undergoing a rigorous training regime, right? For IAS, it is at Masuri, for example, right? So these are three important things: caliber, integrity, and training. See, as far as bureaucracy is concerned, when we talk about implementation of laws and policies, one very important aspect of this is welfare, right? We are now talking about good governance. Gone are the days of minimum government, right? Jahan pe aap law and order, defense, and public facilities. Going beyond that, we are looking for welfare of the people, right? So one important aspect that we see as far as bureaucracy is concerned is they are supposed to implement welfare policies because they are operating within what is called welfare state, right? And here you get a huge scope, right, to work. So wide range of functions, right? Activities are there, ranging from, say, for example, let us look at few welfare schemes. So Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao is one welfare scheme. You talk about Swachh Bharat Abhiyan, right? Housing for the poor people. So you'll be working in different sectors as far as this thing is concerned. So there are a number of schemes in health, there are a number of schemes in education, there are a number of ICDS, for example, Integrated Child Development Scheme, right? So you are supposed to have understanding of all those fields, number one. And number two, you would have wide scope of your work to implement all those welfare schemes. So wide range of functions and activities. That becomes quite interesting task, right? The candidates who are looking for diversified kind of a world to deal with in their job, this is the right kind of opportunity. Concept of development administration, ये भी काफी important है. This is very interesting, you know, and it is people oriented. See, administration works for the people. The basic aptitude that UPSC or public administration looks for is, do you have that public outlook? Are you people oriented? Are your views people oriented, right? So that is what is being seen, and that is required for development purposes. The most important word for any nation in the world is this: development, right? So if you want to sum up the entire work of government, it is about two things: security and development. कोई भी government हो दुनिया का, they do only two things: security and development. All other tasks that we really talk about would come under these things. So for example, poverty alleviation, right? Nutrition of children, right? Health of old age people, health of women, जितना भी बोलोगे आप, that comes under what is called development. Employment की बात करो, unemployment की बात करो, right? GDP की बात करो, growth की बात करो, right? Everything comes under what is called development. So security and development is a task of any government. As far as civil administration is concerned, right? Civil services exam के बारे में हम बात कर रहे हैं. Civil administration deals with this aspect, right? And उसमें जो Indian police service है, that deals with what is called law and order. Defense is something that goes to military administration, right? So this is about public administration. Let us now have a bit of focused discussion on civil services examination, right? Civil services किसको बोलोगे आप? Public administration का देखा हमने. There are different aspects of public administration. You may have judicial administration in that, you may have military administration in that, right? You may have civil services in that. The examination that we are going to talk about today is civil services examination, right? जिसको आप CSE बोलते हो, सिविल सर्विसेज एग्जामिनेशन, राइट? तो एग्जामिनेशन के बारे में बात करेंगे, लेकिन ये सिविल सर्विसेज क्या है? What all things fall under what is called civil services? First category is all India services. वो कौन से हैं? For example, IAS, Indian Administrative Service, IPS, Indian Police Service, and IFS, ये फॉरेस्ट है, हाँ, ठीक है. इसका प्रीलिम कॉमन होता है, लेकिन मेंस एग्जामिनेशन इज डिफरेंट, राइट? We are basically talking about civil services here. There are other central services जिसके लिए same examination है, जिसको आप UPSC civil services examination बोलते हो, right? So these services are covered by UPSC as a body. So those are IFS, that is Foreign Service, right? IAAS, Accounts and Audit Service, Indian Revenue Service, Indian Postal Service, वगैरह वगैरह. So the point is, All India Services, Central Services के लिए UPSC examination conduct करती है, right? Through same examination based on your choice and ranking in the final list, you would be given different services. You'll be allotted different services. इसके लिए state PSCs, so different state PSC, Public Service Commissions, would conduct examination. We would be talking about this part, UPSC का examination. Okay, so All India Services, Central Services. There are other services as well, like judicial and military, but this falls into what is called military administration, judicial administration. Civil services नहीं आता. Okay, let us now talk about the structure of the UPSC examination. UPSC civil service examination structure के everybody knows it. Let us go through it quickly. This examination is conducted in 3 stages, right? Preliminary examination, then mains examination, and what is called interview, commonly, but UPSC calls it personality test, right? But actually there are only 2 stages. मैं आपको structure बता देता हूँ. I would talk about structure here. There are 2 stages. One is what is called preliminary examination. Other is mains examination. Mains examination की 2 parts है. What is called written part, right? और दूसरा जो है वो अभी जो बता रहा था मैं, personality test, right? इसको मेंस एग्जामिनेशन बोलते हैं, राइट? लेकिन स्ट्रक्चर वाइज हमको समझने के लिए इट इज कंडक्टेड इन 3 पार्ट्स. सो प्रीलिम, रिटन मेंस एंड व्हाट इज कॉल्ड इंटरव्यू, राइट? प्रिलिमिनरी इज क्वालिफाइंग, यू नो इट वेरी वेल, है ना? मेंस एग्जामिनेशन के मार्क्स आर कंसिडर्ड फॉर द फाइनल लिस्ट, ठीक है? तो इसमें जो रिटन पार्ट है उसमें 1750 मार्क्स है. बिग चंक ऑफ मार्क्स आर हियर. दिस स्टेज डिसाइड्स योर रैंक primarily, right? And you can do value addition in order to improve rank by through personality test, which carries 275 marks, right? Let us talk about the structure completely. So preliminary examination is a screening test, is only qualifying test, screening test, because number of people appear for this examination, say 7 lakh people, 5 lakh, 6 lakh people, right? So UPSC, by conducting this examination, seeks to eliminate non-serious candidates, right? So only serious and eligible candidates, क्योंकि हमने पहले देखा caliber is something that is important for this job. So they want hardly 10 to 15,000 people for mains examination, right? So they recruit those many people through screening test for the mains examination. Prelim examination के 2 parts है. General Studies paper 1, which carries 200 marks. General Studies paper 2, which also carries 200 marks. General Studies paper 2 is also called CSAT, Civil Services Aptitude Test, right? This paper is again qualifying. You are supposed to qualify in this paper only. More marks than what is the qualification mark. in terms of deciding the cutoff. Cutoff is fully based on this paper. So last year, cutoff was somewhere 87 point something, right? Marks out of 200. ये change होता रहता है, it changes, but somewhere आजकल वो 80s में है, sometimes 90s, you know, it depends on what kind of paper was there and what kind of preparation people had and a number of marks they earned. हर बार वो थोड़ा सा vary होता है. So this cutoff is important, right? What is there in this paper? What is there in this paper? We would discuss that when we discuss syllabus, right? So general studies paper 2 is qualifying. आपको बस 33% mark लाने उसमें. That amounts to some 67 marks out of 200. Around 67 marks out of 200 is something that you are supposed to score. ये score करने के बाद आपका paper 1 check किया जाएगा. If you don't qualify here, paper 1 के marks भी नहीं मिलते. बस result मिलता है आपको disqualified in CSAT या फिर general studies paper 2. यहाँ पे जो questions आते हैं, the questions that we see in these two papers are of this type: multiple choice questions, objective type, right? सवाल पूछा जाएगा, question will be asked and you'll be given 4 options. You are supposed to choose the best available option out of those 4. So this is the nature of preliminary examination. Now, mains examination. So as I said, this is the crux of the examination, simply because it carries 1750 marks, right? आप imagine करो कि 1750 plus 270. So 1750 plus 275 marks. इसमें से look at the proportion of written examination. So this decides your rank, right? यहाँ पे जो marks आएंगे उसका भी बहुत फायदा होता है, no doubt about that, right? But यहाँ पे subjectivity भी है काफी ज्यादा, right? So this is the crux of the examination, mains examination, जो written part है, right? तो इसमें क्या आता है? What all things do we see in mains examination? General studies के पेपर है 1 to 4. आपको 4 पेपर सॉल्व करने पड़ते हैं और उसमें कन्वेंशनल टाइप ऑफ पेपर जहां पे पैराग्राफ फॉर्मेट सपोज आंसर्स, राइट? सो जनरल स्टडीज 1 to 4, 1 2 3 4. ईच पेपर कैरीज 250 मार्क्स. तो ये हो गए आपके 1000 मार्क्स. सो 250 मार्क्स का एक पेपर और 4 पेपर, 1000 मार्क्स, राइट? Then you are supposed to choose one optional subject from the given list of optionals by the UPSC, right? So you would have 2 papers of every optional. इसमें आप ऐसे के 250 ऐड कर दो, that amounts to 1750. So these are the papers which are very important, which decide your fate in this examination. So GS papers 1 2 3 4, optional papers 1 and 2, single optional that you choose. Essay paper 250 marks again, so total marks 1750. But this is not everything about the mains examination. There are 2 more papers which are qualifying papers, right? जिसमें compulsory English language and 1 Indian language that you are supposed to choose. It could be Hindi, it could be Marathi, it could be Kannada, it could be Gujarati, Bengali. So whatever language you choose. So 1 Indian language and English language. These are 2 qualifying papers. These papers are of 300 marks, right? And you are supposed to score only 25% marks here. That is qualifying, right? That means you are supposed to score 75 out of 300, right? So once you qualify in these papers, then only the other papers are checked. So it is very important to 7 papers which are counted for the merit. So in total 9 papers are there as far as mains examination is concerned, right? और ये सारे 9 papers are conventional type papers जहाँ पे आपको लिखना पड़ेगा. Answers are to be written in paragraph format. As I said, there is third stage which is called personality test, which carries 275 marks, right? पर्सनल टेस्ट क्यों बोला गया? देयर इज अ रीजन बिहाइंड दैट. UPSC is looking for candidates who are suitable for public administration का job. Overall, by asking questions to you, they would be checking whether तो इस तरह के वो क्वेश्चंस होंगे. And that is why it is called personality test by UPSC. Different candidates have different experiences here. So they may ask you questions which are linked to your place of birth, right? Your district, your state, your educational background, your family background, है ना? But ये सारे सवाल, all these questions are asked to judge your personality for the suitability of administrative job. So this is the structure of the examination. Let us now talk about optional subjects, so which is very much part of the structure of the examination. जैसे कि मैंने कहा, मेंस एग्जामिनेशन हैज गॉट 9 पेपर्स, उसमें से 2 क्वालिफाइंग है, 7 पेपर्स आर काउंटेड फॉर द मेरिट. ये जो 1750 मार्क्स है ना, दैट वी हैव बीन टॉकिंग अबाउट, जो वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट पार्ट ऑफ द मेंस एग्जामिनेशन, 1750 मार्क्स, इसमें से 500 मार्क्स are for optional subject, right? And the general pattern that we have been observing is the people who are in the list, more or less, they have similar kind of marks in GS papers. Similar, I'm saying, not same. Similar range में marks होते हैं GS papers में. One thing that makes a difference is optional subject. Some people have very good score in the optional subject, so उनका जो rank है jump हो जाता है, right? That is why it is very crucial. So very crucial aspect. Second, if you look at GS papers, those subjects are subjects which require fairly general kind of information, right? UPSC doesn't expect much depth of analysis as far as GS papers are concerned, but optional is one aspect of mains examination where your depth of understanding is checked, right? Your ability to write, your ability to think, your ability to reflect on certain things, and your depth of analysis is checked in optional subject. So it is very crucial. You are supposed to study the subject in detail. It is like doing masters in that particular subject, right? UPSC notification में UPSC ये बोल देता है that ग्रेजुएशन के लेवल का स्टडी इज रिक्वायर्ड. एंड इनफैक्ट यूपीएससी ने भी बोला है कि फॉर द क्वालिफाइंग पेपर, दैट इज सीसैट, प्रीलिम में जो पेपर है, सीसैट के लिए यू नीड ओनली 10 तक का जो मैथमेटिक्स है, 10 तक का अंडरस्टैंडिंग. बट इफ यू लुक एट द पेपर्स, दोस आर वेरी टफ, है ना? 10th का बच्चा सॉल्व नहीं कर पाएगा उसको, राइट? है ना? Why does this happen? ऐसे क्यों होता है? You have to think from the perspective of the commission as well. Commission has to choose candidates, very few number of candidates, say 700 to 1000 candidates, from a pool of say 7 lakh applicants, right? That is why वो exam का toughness बढ़ जाता है at some point of time. So we have to prepare in that manner. So even if UPSC say that graduation के level का expectation है, but is clearly a master's का expectation, right? So optional subject ऐसा है कि you are supposed to study that in depth like a master's subject, and that is why इसका जो choice है, that has to be done very carefully, right? So many students are confused for say 4 months, 5 months, 6 months sometimes कि कौन सा optional ले. They prefer one optional, then they face some problem, they go to the second optional, they end up wasting time in that, right? Many a time there are candidates who say that I could not get through because my choice of optional was wrong, right? So this is one crucial decision that you're supposed to take right in the beginning, right? So I would talk about 4 criteria to choose optional subject, and very practically speaking, right? The first one is interest. As I said, you are supposed to study that subject in an in-depth manner, number 1. Number 2, you would prepare for this examination at least for 1 year before you apply for the examination, right? And the whole process of examination goes on for 1 year. So you are supposed to study the subject at least for 2.5 years, right? Exam का और एक preparation का 1 year अगर देख ले. And please understand this, मेंस खत्म हुआ तो ऑप्शनल काम खत्म हुआ ऐसा नहीं होता है. Many a times interview में you would be asked questions on your optional. that possibility is always there, right? So that would accompany you throughout. So 2 साल के लिए कोई subject पढ़ना, you are supposed to study a particular subject for more than 2 years. You require interest. कोई भी इंसान without interest ही कर नहीं सकता. So the primary criteria you should apply is your interest. I know there are many people who talk about different things in what is called UPSC market, right? So you should go for scoring subject. You should go for a subject which has got less syllabus. You should go for a subject which has got overlap with GS, etc., etc., etc. But I'll tell you one thing: you choose any subject, the overlap is going to be very minimum, right? Let us talk about, say, for example, PSI. Hmm? That is one subject that people generally choose for overlap, right? I would talk about the overlap factor that people take into consideration. PSIR में 2 papers है, paper 1, paper 2, right? And उसमें फिर 2 sections है. So first section in paper 1, section A is all about concepts, ideologies, theories, right? Paper 1, section B is what is called Indian government and politics. Indian government and politics, right? उसी तरह से paper 2 है ना, section A is about again theory, comparative politics and international relations का theory. Paper 2, section B is India and world. That means IR, international relations या फिर foreign policy, right? People look at these 2 sections. तो जीएस में पॉलिटी है, जीएस में आयर है, तो पूरा पेपर 2 कवर हो जाएगा. आई मस्ट टेल यू वन थिंग, पेपर 2 कवर हो जाएगा, देयर इज नो डाउट अबाउट दैट. बट आर यू रेडी टू डील विद द थिंकर्स, कॉन्सेप्ट्स, आइडियोलॉजीज, थ्योरीज? तो हो क्या रहा है, यू आर actually looking at that subject only from the perspective of overlap, right? Which is simple that way. And you are taking up the task of studying that PSI optional subject, which has got different other aspects that you are not aware of. So overlap कोई एक criteria नहीं होना चाहिए. और रही बात overlap की, है ना, मैंने ये बता दिया है कि there is major chunk that you are attracting. Overlap छोटा सा part है, उसके अलावा बहुत कुछ है. दूसरी बात, when you write GS paper 2, Politica and IR ka, your language and the content should be simple. Whereas when you write in PSI optional, it has to be loaded with concepts, theories, ideologies. उसमें application होना चाहिए. तो depth बहुत ज्यादा है, right? So if you consider depth as well, तो overlap hardly 20% का हो जाता है, not more than that, right? So depth is pretty large in optional, that is pretty less in GS paper. So वो factors you don't take into consideration those factors, right? Nowadays ये जो एक मैंने बता दिया overlap का, दूसरे 2 जो myths है regarding optional subject, one is people say that lengthy syllabus नहीं होना चाहिए, right? And optional बहुत बड़ा scoring नहीं है. ये जो 2 myths है ना, I would tell you one interesting thing. Last year श्रुति शर्मा जो टॉपर थी, ऑल इंडिया रैंक 1, उसका ऑप्शनल वो था जिसको लोग प्रेफर नहीं करते, राइट? सेइंग दैट सिलेबस बहुत बड़ा है एंड देन वास्ट सिलेबस एंड नॉन स्कोरिंग सब्जेक्ट, दैट इज हिस्ट्री. बट शी वाज स्टिल ऑल इंडिया रैंक 1. दैट इज बिकॉज शी हैड इंटरेस्ट इन दैट सब्जेक्ट, राइट? That does not mean you are supposed to go for history optional. All that I'm trying to say is you should decide based on interest. इंसान का इंटरेस्ट होता है तो फिर you can completely dedicate yourself to that subject and you can end up scoring more marks, right? So interest is the first criteria that you should apply. Second, syllabus. Many a times we tend to like a subject based on our reading of general studies, right? As I said, general studies पढ़ के कोई अगर PSI चूज करेगा तो उसको क्या लगेगा, बस इंडियन गवर्नमेंट पॉलिटिक्स होगा और आईआर होगा. नो, वेस्टर्न पॉलिटिकल थिंकर्स विल कम टू मीट यू. ठीक है. Another example, somebody has interest in economics after reading say NCERT books, right? But paper to make काफी हद तक मैथमेटिक्स है, उसका एप्लीकेशन है उसमें, right? You should look at syllabus in detail. Many a times we don't know the exact nature of the subject that we are choosing, and that is why after shortlisting say 2-3 subjects, right, you should go and look at detailed syllabus of those subjects, right? कई बार होता है कि because of the syllabus, once you look at the detailed syllabus, you can eliminate one or two optionals, right, of the shortlisted list. Then the third thing is look at previous year question papers. So what type of questions are being asked? huh? You are not supposed to answer them, but you are supposed to check your comfort. ये मेरे लिए कंफर्टेबल हुआ कि नहीं होगा, बेस्ड ऑन सिलेबस क्या सवाल आए हैं, राइट? दैट इज थर्ड क्राइटेरिया. एंड फोर्थ इज गाइडेंस. ठीक है, ये आई नो दैट द पीपल मे डिबेट ऑन दिस. देयर आर स्टूडेंट्स हु डोंट go anywhere and still they get through, ऐसा बोलते हैं कई बार. But I'll tell you one thing, most of the students at some point of time come for guidance, right? I'll tell you one thing, you may go for self study, but when you want to get yourself evaluated, खुद को असेस करना है. Nobody can judge oneself, right? खुद का जज कोई नहीं बन सकता. हाँ, so when you write test papers, कोई आपको चेक करने वाला, गाइड करने वाला होना चाहिए. And this examination is very different as compared to examinations conducted by different universities of these subjects, right? And that is why people who have experience in UPSC examination of that subject is an optional would be the right people to guide you, right? If you get guidance anywhere, that is good enough. But if you're choosing a subject where you don't have guidance available for that, there is nobody who can evaluate your papers. That would be a troublesome part. मैं नहीं कर रहा हूँ कि वो इंसान होगा ही नहीं, but वो बहुत daunting task होगा. It will become too much challenging. It's always good to go with the subject for which the guidance is available. So these are 4 factors based on which you should choose your optional. Now, having discussed examination और optional क्या है, बस एक slide है यहाँ पे to tell you what all optional subjects are being taught at Unique Academy. PSI, Political Science and International Relations, History, Geography, Sociology, Public Administration, Anthropology, and Economics. These are the subjects available at Unique Academy. Now, having understood what is public administration, having understood structure of the examination, how to choose optionals, let us now talk about preparation for UPSC CSE 2024. For which we are starting, one batch started already. We are starting number of batches in this year. First thing that you're supposed to do is understand the nature of the examination. अभी जो मैंने बताया आपको वो बस structure है, right? What we discussed short while ago. There is preliminary examination, there is GS paper 1, there is GS paper 2, 3, 4. GS paper 1 में history है, geography है, social issues है. GS paper 2 में constitution, governance, policy of the government, IR, that means polity in IR in short. Paper 3 में number of subjects are there: economics, economic development, agriculture, disaster management, science and tech, environment, ecology, etc. Paper 4 is about ethics and integrity. उसमें ethics के concepts, अलग-अलग concepts, अलग-अलग thinkers, then case studies. ये 4 papers हैं. Then optional आपका खुद का होगा जो आप choose करोगे, and essay paper. This is structure of the examination, right? Syllabus और structure. But nature क्या है examination का? इसका मतलब what type of questions are being asked? Questions किस तरह के पूछे जा रहे हैं, and what are the expectations of the commission? Commission क्या expect कर रहा है? What kind of questions are being asked, right? उसको बोलते हैं to understand nature of the examination. So for example, the preliminary examination which has been conducted recently on 28th of May, many students were quite surprised in the examination hall, right? The pattern that people were looking for was of the kind that we are observing in last 3-4 years, right? But this time it was quite different pattern, right? Many students look for patterns in this examination. यहाँ पे कोई pattern नहीं है. एक example के तौर पे बोलता हूँ मैं आपको. Past few years, UPSC was asking questions which had number of statements in that question. मैं prelim की बात कर रहा हूँ. So 3 statements है, तो कौन सी सही है? 1 and 2, 2 and 3, all 3 इस तरह से. 4 statements का question, 5 statements का question. Okay, that is now gone almost, right? अब 2 है, उसमें आपको 1 only, 2 only, both and none. इस तरह के बहुत सारे सवाल आए. Second, there's a type called assertion reason. Assertion reason, ये एक टाइप है. Assertion and reason. आपको एक स्टेटमेंट दिया जाएगा और दूसरा स्टेटमेंट दिया जाएगा, तो आपको ऑप्शंस क्या होंगे? हाँ, पहला ऑप्शन है आपका, ठीक है, स्टेटमेंट 1 and 2 both are correct, and statement 2 is the reason for statement 1. राइट। बी है, दोनों स्टेटमेंट सही है लेकिन वो रीजन नहीं है। स्टेटमेंट 2 इज नॉट द रीजन ऑफ स्टेटमेंट 1। सी आता है, एक स्टेटमेंट सही है दूसरा गलत है। उसी तरह से डी आता है, हाँ एक स्टेटमेंट सही है दूसरा गलत, राइट। तो ये फॉर्मेट चेंज होता रहता है, दैट ऑलवेज चेंजेस, राइट। यू कैन नॉट एक्सपेक्ट वन सिंगल फॉर्मेट टू कंटिन्यू फॉर नंबर ऑफ इयर्स, सो यू शुड नॉट लुक फॉर द फॉर्मेट। यही है कि यू आर सपोज टू अंडरस्टैंड, यूपीएससी वुड ट्राई टू चेक यू इन डिफरेंट वेज एंड यू शुड बी रेडी फॉर दैट। And the way to really deal with this kind of things is your preparation should be thorough, your understanding of the syllabus should be thorough. वो होता है ना कि टेक्निक बैट्समैन का ठीक होना चाहिए, फिर वो लेग स्पिन हो, ऑफ स्पिन हो, बाउंसर हो, कुछ भी हो। हाँ, जो बैट्समैन जिसका बैट स्ट्रेट होता है ना, वो कोई बॉल खेल लेता है, फिर बॉल कैसा भी हो, दूसरा आने दो, कैरम बॉल आने दो, वॉट एवर इट इज, राइट। इट इज सिमिलर काइंड ऑफ अ थिंग। If your understanding is sound, if your preparation is really good, you can deal with any kind of pattern that comes in the examination, right? You should not run behind it. So exam का nature समझना बहुत जरूरी है, right? Second, understand syllabus in detail, right? And that is about everything. GS 1, 2, 3, 4 ऐसे किस प्रकार के आ रहे हैं, and then also your optional subject का in detail syllabus. If I take any example, right? Say for example geography. There were a number of questions on world geography this year, right? या फिर talk about history. One change that we observed this year is there were less number of questions on modern and more number of questions on ancient history of India. तो syllabus में क्या क्या components है और किसके ऊपर क्या सवाल आ सकता है, that should be understood in detail. In detail understanding of syllabus, you should read syllabus number of times, right? As long as that doesn't become part of your head. Mind में हमेशा syllabus होना चाहिए, right? So that is first thing that you're supposed to do. Then PYQs. You should look at previous year question papers for all the subjects, GS 1, 2, 3, 4, optional essay, right? And PYQ इसलिए नहीं देखना है कि आप उसमें pattern ढूंढोगे. Don't look for the pattern. Look for, again, the same thing, nature of the questions and what is the expectation of the commission, right? From that perspective, you should look at the PYQs. And also, you should have a correlation between syllabus and PYQs. जो previous year question paper में questions आए हैं, syllabus पे थे क्या, syllabus के कौन से points पे थे, इस तरह से आपको देखना पड़ेगा. I will give you an example. UPSC says, as far as mains examination is concerned, that you are supposed to study art and culture. GS पेपर 1 का मैं बोल रहा हूँ, GS पेपर 1 आर्ट एंड कल्चर आपने पढ़ना है, एंशिएंट और मिडिवल का. तो कहीं भी एंशिएंट एंड मिडिवल के बारे में पॉलिटिकल, इकोनॉमिक, सोशल एस्पेक्ट की बात नहीं की है, बट नंबर ऑफ क्वेश्चंस आर आस्क्ड ऑन पॉलिटिकल, सोशल एंड इकोनॉमिक एस्पेक्ट ऑफ एंशिएंट एंड मिडिवल. तो पीवाईक्यूज आपको बताते हैं कि सिलेबस को कैसे समझना है, राइट. सो व्हाट हैपेंस इज कल्चर इज लिंक्ड टू पॉलिटिकल, इकोनॉमिक, सोशल एस्पेक्ट्स, रिलीजियस एज वेल. तो कल्चर इनसे जुड़ा हुआ है, अलग से नहीं है. तो यूपीएससी के पास ये ऑप्शन हमेशा से है कि दे कैन आस्क क्वेश्चन ऑन पॉलिटिकल, इकोनॉमिक, सोशल एस्पेक्ट्स लिंक्ड टू कल्चर. कल्चर से जुड़े हुए बाकी चीजों के ऊपर सवाल पूछ सकते हैं. सो पीवाई के आपको बताएगा कि बस कल्चर नहीं पढ़ना है, आपने पॉलिटिकल, सोशल, इकोनॉमिक एस्पेक्ट भी पढ़ना है, राइट. सो दैट इज हाउ पीवाईक्यूज हेल्प यू अंडरस्टैंड सिलेबस बेटर. वंस यू डू दिस, व्हाट आई वुड से, द प्राइमरी प्रिपरेशन टू बिगिन विथ, ये पहला आपका पार्ट है जो कि इनिशियल 8-15 डेज में आपने ये करना चाहिए, राइट. आफ्टर दैट यू आर सपोज टू गो फॉर कॉन्सेप्चुअल अंडरस्टैंडिंग. एज आई सेड, एग्जामिनेशन का टफनेस बढ़ रहा है, राइट. दे आर एक्सपेक्टिंग मच मोर डेप्थ. हाँ, people ask us what kind of reference books we are supposed to read, right? But before you go to reference books, you are supposed to read NCERT books for conceptual understanding. ठीक है? So you must read NCERT books. You can solve many questions in preliminary examination based on NCERT alone, and you can also solve mains examination questions as well, right? But this being a tough competition, you are supposed to go for more books. उसकी बात मैं करूंगा, लेकिन इसको skip नहीं करना चाहिए. You must read NCERT books of all subjects, right? So there's a basic thing. The second stage would be, after understanding nature, syllabus, and PYQs, understand concepts thoroughly. If you understand concepts thoroughly, right, you are confident in prelim as well as mains. For example, this year there was a question on polity, which was on that concept called ड्यू प्रोसेस ऑफ लॉ, राइट? पॉलिटी में दो कॉन्सेप्ट्स हैं, ड्यू प्रोसेस ऑफ लॉ एंड प्रोसीजर एस्टैब्लिश्ड बाय लॉ. Many people were confused between option 1 and 4. That was because they were not having that thorough understanding of what is called due process of law, right? Natural justice उसका आंसर था. ठीक है. To implement the laws in a fair manner, ये चौथा जो है, that is also part of what is called due process, but that is not the complete answer. वो आधा आंसर हो गया और आपको best possible answer choose करना है, right? And the best possible answer was natural justice. समझ में आ रहा है आपको? नेचुरल जस्टिस आंसर क्यों है? वो इसलिए है, दिस टू कॉन्सेप्ट्स, ड्यू प्रोसेस ऑफ लॉ एंड प्रोसीजर एस्टैब्लिश्ड बाय लॉ, राइट? इन ड्यू प्रोसेस ऑफ लॉ, लॉ कैसे बना है, वो ठीक से बना है क्या, इसको देखा जाता है बेस्ड ऑन कॉन्सेप्ट ऑफ नेचुरल जस्टिस, राइट? जस्टिस अगर लॉ की बात करें तो दो तरीके से देख सकते हो आप. जस्टिस गिवन बाय द लॉ, ठीक है, लॉ के अनुसार आपको जस्टिस मिला. अगर लॉ ही गलत है तो, ठीक है, तो यू हैव टू जज द लॉ बेस्ड ऑन नेचुरल जस्टिस. तो वो इट्स वेरी क्रूशियल एस्पेक्ट ऑफ ड्यू प्रोसेस ऑफ लॉ, राइट? तो इसीलिए नेचुरल जस्टिस दोनों कवर करता है. हाँ, फेयरनेस ऑफ इंप्लीमेंटेशन एंड ऑल्सो द लॉ इटसेल्फ शुड बी फेयर. सो बेस्ट पॉसिबल आंसर इज नेचुरल जस्टिस. इसीलिए थरो कॉन्सेप्चुअल अंडरस्टैंडिंग इज की फॉर प्रिलिमिनरी एज वेल एज मेंस एग्जामिनेशन, राइट? देन एज फार एज सिलेबस इज कंसर्न, उसके दो हिस्से हैं, स्टैटिक एंड डायनेमिक. स्टैटिक पार्ट, जैसे कि मैंने कहा कि दैट इज स्टैटिक पार्ट, ड्यू प्रोसेस ऑफ लॉ, प्रोसीजर एस्टैब्लिश्ड बाय लॉ, है ना? कॉन्सेप्चुअल अंडरस्टैंडिंग एंड डिफरेंट अदर थिंग्स व्हिच डू नॉट चेंज, दैट इज कॉल्ड स्टैटिक पार्ट ऑफ द सिलेबस, राइट? करंट एस्पेक्ट क्या होता है? समथिंग दैट इज हैपनिंग इन डे टू डे थिंग्स. से अभी जो हमने एग्जांपल लिया, द ऑफिस ऑफ गवर्नर फॉर एग्जांपल, राइट? वो कॉन्सेप्ट है, उसमें कई सारे प्रोविजंस है कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन में, हाँ, एंड समथिंग व्हिच हैज हैपेंड इन द पास्ट, वो स्टैटिक पार्ट हो गया. लेकिन रिसेंट सुप्रीम कोर्ट वर्डिक्ट ऑन द क्राइसिस इन महाराष्ट्र फॉर एग्जांपल रिगार्डिंग द रोल ऑफ द गवर्नर, वो आपका करंट एस्पेक्ट हो गया. तो आपने दोनों कवर करना है. यू आर सपोज्ड टू अंडरस्टैंड बोथ स्टैटिक एज वेल एज करंट पार्ट्स ऑफ द सिलेबस. उसके आपके नोट्स, आपका स्टडी मटेरियल सब कुछ रेडी होना चाहिए, राइट? सो दिस टू थिंग्स, इसका रिजल्ट होना चाहिए नोट्स. कॉन्सेप्चुअल अंडरस्टैंडिंग एंड अंडरस्टैंडिंग स्टैटिक एंड करंट पार्ट, इसके सोर्सेस क्या होंगे? रेफरेंस बुक्स, राइट? न्यूज़पेपर्स एंड मैगजीन्स दैट यू जनरली यूज फॉर करंट अफेयर्स, राइट? तो इस सारे सोर्सेस से आपने क्या निकालना चाहिए? माइक्रो नोट्स. इफ यू गो फॉर माइक्रो नोट्स, व्हाट इज माइक्रो नोट्स? Notes in minimum possible words. Why do you need notes in minimum possible words? That is because examination कुछ दिनों में खत्म हो जाता है, 5-6 दिनों में, मेंस एग्जामिनेशन, right? In fact, those 4 papers of GS would be done in 2 days. तो एक दिन सुबह GS पेपर 1, दोपहर में GS पेपर 2, नेक्स्ट डे सुबह GS पेपर 3 and 4. ऑप्शनल के लिए आपको 3-4 दिन मिल सकते हैं in between, but those are also not sufficient for covering the entire syllabus of optional, right? तो सारे बुक्स आप पढ़ नहीं सकते 3-4 दिन में. So what is required is last moment revision के लिए ये काफी इंपॉर्टेंट है, नोट्स, राइट? आपके अपने माइक्रो नोट्स होने चाहिए मिनिमम पॉसिबल वर्ड्स में, राइट? सो जो भी मटेरियल आप पढ़ते हो उसको नैरो डाउन करना, यू मिनिमाइज द रिसोर्सेस एंड क्रिएट अ सिंगल सोर्स. आपका ऑप्शनल है, उसका एक सिंगल सोर्स. आपका जीएस पेपर 1 है, उसका एक सिंगल सोर्स. Likewise, right? So that helps you immensely in revising your content before preliminary as well as mains examination. A very important aspect of the preparation is skill development. You require different skills as far as UPSC examination is concerned, right? You need a skill to choose the right option while dealing with MCQs in preliminary examination. बहुत सारे ऐसे बच्चे होते हैं who have very good understanding, उनका पढ़ाई अच्छे से हुआ है, but somehow they are not able to apply their mind while choosing the options. जैसे मैंने कहा, even many bright students chose the 4th option for that question on due process of law. हाँ, वहां पे कहीं ना कहीं अलग एप्टीट्यूड चाहिए होता है आपको कि कम से कम समय में, because you have only 2 hours and there are 100 questions, तो उसको कैसे डील करना है, वो एक स्किल है. It is a skill of time management. It is a skill of choosing right questions to answer, right? It is skill of answering best possible option out of the four given options. तो कई सारे स्किल्स आपको डेवलप करने पड़ते हैं प्रीलिम के लिए. राइटिंग स्किल डेवलप करना पड़ेगा आपको मेंस के लिए. आंसर राइटिंग स्किल, हाउ टू इंट्रोड्यूस द आंसर, मेन कंटेंट कैसे ऑर्गेनाइज करोगे, हाउ टू कंक्लूड, how to ensure logical flow in the answer, because all these things carry marks. How to write legibly, how to have a good presentation, right? So these are all skills. In the interview you require again different skill set. Communication का skill set चाहिए आपको, interpersonal communication. So when two people speak, do you have that kind of skill with you? See, I'll tell you one thing. How you speak, right? You have to speak legibly. आप जो बोल रहे हो सामने लोगों को समझ में आना चाहिए. There should be eye contact with each other. Third thing, आप statically नहीं बैठना चाहिए, right? आपका body बोलना चाहिए. There should be entire interaction of your body, not just your lips, right? So ये जो skills है वो develop करने पड़ते हैं, interpersonal skills. Apart from that, how to deal with the questions, the answers of which you don't know, right? How to deal with different options in front of you, and एक crisis situation में कौन सा option आप choose करोगे, right? आपका language, spoken skills. So a number of skills you are supposed to develop. And don't worry, we do all these things as part of our 1 year batch, right? Notes making इसलिए करना है because आपका revision आसान हो जाए. So notes making simplifies your revision. I'll tell you very clearly. If you think of revising by underlining books only, right? Revision करते समय आप सब पढ़ना चाहोगे, तो उसमें टाइम चला जाता है. आपने जितना अंडरलाइन किया उतना ही नहीं पढ़ोगे आप. आपको लगेगा कि पैराग्राफ में बाकी क्या है. So that diverts your mind, and revision takes a lot of time. Time consuming हो जाता है. To simplify revision, you must have micro notes, and you should have multiple revisions for both prelim and means examination. आप prelim के लिए कई सारे टेस्ट दोगे, right? At least say for example 15 to 20 comprehensive tests. तो 15-20 times आपका revision होना चाहिए. Before every test paper you should revise your content. इसीलिए before you fill up the form आपका पढ़ाई खत्म होना चाहिए entire syllabus का. So that is the ideal way to deal with the examination. आपका पूरा पढ़ाई खत्म हुआ है, बस आपको करंट में क्या चल रहा है वो देखना है, रिवाइज करना है और टेस्ट देना है, उसका एनालिसिस करना है. That is the best possible way to deal with the examination, right? So revision is very important component of this examination. Then इसको you are supposed to hone your skills. आपके skills build करने पड़ेंगे, and that happens only through practice. So answer writing practice. For example, आप किसी एक GS पेपर 1, 2, 3 पर जो भी है उसके सिलेबस में से कोई एक टॉपिक आपने ले लिया, राइट? तो वो टॉपिक आपने बुक से पढ़ा, यू रेड दैट फ्रॉम द बुक, उसके माइक्रो नोट्स बनाए. यहाँ पे पढ़ाई खत्म नहीं होता, राइट? ये बनने के बाद आपका अंडरस्टैंडिंग अच्छा हो गया इस टॉपिक का. सो गो फॉर एटलीस्ट 1 क्वेश्चन, 2 क्वेश्चंस ऑन दिस टॉपिक. एक या 2 ही सवाल ले लो and write answer, get it checked. That is called answer writing practice. So every evaluation would bring some kind of inputs to you, right? And ये practice की बात हो गई. Rigorous test series फिर अलग बात है. This is different thing. Rigorous test series means what? जैसे कि एग्जाम का माहौल होता है, the environment of examination, उसमें जाकर के आंसर लिखना. This you can do at your home, right? But आपको नेट प्रैक्टिस भी चाहिए ना कि वो मैच कैसे खेला जाएगा. So that kind of a stuff, right? You would come in the classroom here, you would write the papers, full papers that you face in the examination. So this is preparation ka part. And I'm telling you again and again, tomorrow there will be first lecture of the new batch, and Tukaram Jadhav sir would elaborately talk about preparation. मैंने यहाँ पे जो बातें कही हैं, I have talked about them briefly. He would talk about all these things in much more detailed manner tomorrow, right? So this is about preparation. Now the almost the last part of my presentation, that is what we do here at the Unique Academy as part of 1 year batch, right? So something that I call unique way. So first thing is comprehensive teaching for all 3 stages of the examination: prelim, mains and interviews. जो बैच होता है ना उसमें कई बार डिस्कशंस होते हैं, थरो डिस्कशंस, लॉट ऑफ डिस्कशन हैपेंस इन द क्लासरूम. स्टूडेंट्स आस्क कि इंटरव्यू का प्रिपरेशन कैसे करना है, उसका अलग से प्रिपरेशन नहीं होता है. आई विल गिव एन एग्जांपल. इफ यू गो टू द इंटरव्यू हॉल, राइट, UPSC का, And suppose you come from, say for example, Maharashtra, Karnataka, any state for that matter. If you come from Maharashtra, आपको ये पूछा जा सकता है, recently there was a crisis, constitutional crisis in Maharashtra. What is your take on that? ठीक है. या फिर आप कर्नाटका से आते हो, तो रिसेंटली वहां पे इलेक्शंस हुए हैं, ठीक है. तो जो प्रोसेस वहां पे हुआ इलेक्शंस का, उसके बारे में क्या जानते हो आप, एग्जांपल के तौर पे, या फिर ईवीएम मशीन के बारे में आपका क्या ओपिनियन है? तो ये सारे डिस्कशन क्लासरूम में हो जाते हैं, उसका अलग प्रिपरेशन नहीं होता है. व्हेन यू डिस्कस गवर्नर हियर इन द क्लासरूम इन पॉलिटी लेक्चर्स, वी वुड बी डिस्कसिंग ऑल द करंट हैपनिंग्स एज वेल, राइट? सो वो एस्पेक्ट आपका कवर हो जाएगा. सो डोंट वरी अबाउट दैट. अपार्ट फ्रॉम दैट, इंटरव्यू के लिए जो आप क्वालिफाई होंगे, तो उसका एक अलग प्रिपरेशन है. सो क्लासरूम टीचिंग्स वुड शेप योर पर्सनैलिटी एज इट इज डिजायर्ड, रिक्वायर्ड बाय द कमीशन. डिस्कशन में आगे जाकर के देयर विल बी मॉक इंटरव्यूज. आपको जो एडिशनल स्टडी मटेरियल चाहिए इंटरव्यू के लिए, वो दिया जाएगा. आपको क्वेश्चनेयर बना के दिया जाएगा, वो अलग बात है. तो तीनों स्टेजेस कवर होंगे. ऑल थ्री स्टेजेस विल बी कवर्ड इन 1 year बैच. एडवांस स्टडी मटेरियल मिलेगा आपको, कवरिंग स्टैटिक एज वेल एज डायनेमिक एस्पेक्ट्स. तो आपको स्टैटिक के नोट्स मिलेंगे, राइट, विद एडिशंस एवरी ईयर. एंड यू वुड आल्सो गेट डायनेमिक, मतलब करंट अफेयर्स. यू वुड गेट नोट्स फॉर करंट अफेयर्स, राइट? मैं आपको एक इंटरेस्टिंग बात बताता हूँ. करंट तो होता है, आईआर का करंट है, पॉलिटी का करंट है, इकोनॉमिक्स का करंट है, ज्योग्राफी का करंट है, राइट? बट वेरी फ्यू पीपल थिंक दैट हिस्ट्री का कोई करंट हो सकता है. हिस्ट्री का भी करंट होता है, राइट? फॉर एग्जाम्पल, अमृत महोत्सव सेलिब्रेट हुआ, तो उसमें कौन से कंपोनेंट्स थे, कौन से सिंबल है? या फिर रिसेंटली पार्लियामेंट का न्यू बिल्डिंग वाज इनॉग्रेटेड, तो उसमें सिंबल क्या है, उससे जुड़ा हुआ इतिहास क्या है, राइट? सो व्हाट वी आर डूइंग since last year is every month we come up with a booklet कि पूरे मंथ में हिस्ट्री से जुड़े हुए क्या क्या इवेंट्स, प्रोग्राम्स हुए, व्हाट ऑल थिंग्स वेयर इन द न्यूज फ्रॉम द हिस्ट्री, उसके बुकलेट्स बनाते हैं, राइट? सो ये अपडेटेड आपको करंट अफेयर्स का मटेरियल मिल जाएगा. देन वी कंडक्ट टेस्ट सीरीज प्री और मेंस दोनों के लिए विद क्रिटिकल एंड डिटेल्ड फीडबैक. आई कैन शो यू द नंबर ऑफ papers for this, but I would not do it here in this seminar. We would do that as part of our classroom teaching. Ki what kind of papers we check, and we have actually uploaded those papers on our Telegram channel, जो कि toppers की papers है, which are evaluated by us, right? Very critical feedback is given. Even if there is a grammatical mistake, we point it out, right? So if suppose a 10 marker is there and our faculty members give you 3 marks, 4 marks, आपको फिर वो मार्जिन में बताएंगे कि 3 मार्क्स क्यों दिए गए, कौन से पॉइंट्स मिसिंग है जो आने चाहिए थे उसमें. सो इफ यू गेट 3 मार्क्स फॉर अ पर्टिकुलर क्वेश्चन इन टेस्ट सीरीज, वो इनपुट्स मिले आपको, और वो इनपुट्स लेकर के लिखोगे तो आपको शायद 7 मार्क्स मिल जाएंगे. सो व्हाट इज इंपॉर्टेंट इज दिस क्रिटिकल एंड डिटेल्ड फीडबैक, राइट? ऐसे नहीं होना चाहिए पेपर आया आपको, आपका पेपर किसी ने ऐसे 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 करके 5 मार्क्स दे दिए. फीडबैक किधर है, राइट? 5 क्यों मिले, 7 क्यों नहीं मिले, 8 क्यों नहीं मिले, तो मिसिंग पॉइंट्स कौन से वो लिखने चाहिए. सो यू गेट डिटेल्ड फीडबैक, क्रिटिकल फीडबैक as far as test series is concerned. Then extensive dedicated current affairs sessions happen here, right? So we have been conducting that for few years. Shivaji sir conducted, Jawad Kaji sir conducted. So we have a dedicated faculty for current affairs session. आपके अलग से current affairs session भी होंगे, right? Apart from material, I'm talking about discussion here. उसके lectures होंगे. ये material हो गया, study material. There will be lectures on current affairs as well. इंटरव्यू प्रिपरेशन, एज आई सेड, ठीक है, जो क्लासरूम डिस्कशंस है उसके अलावा, राइट, क्लासरूम डिस्कशन में आपके ओपिनियन शेप होंगे, राइट? अपार्ट फ्रॉम दैट देयर वुड बी इंटरव्यूज, हाँ, विद क्रिटिकल फीडबैक. और इसकी कई सारे वीडियोस आर अवेलेबल देयर ऑन यूनिक एकेडमीज यूट्यूब चैनल, राइट? यू कैन सी दैट. सो मॉक इंटरव्यूज बी कंडक्टेड, एंड इट इज नॉट जस्ट अबाउट मॉक इंटरव्यूज. इफ यू कम फ्रॉम अ पर्टिकुलर बैकग्राउंड, तो उससे जुड़ा हुआ कुछ अगर बुक्स है तो भी हम प्रोवाइड करते हैं to the interview going candidates. We give them the right kind of environment, right? If they want to join our reading room, they can come here, they can interact with all the faculties, they can get the books which are required. Sometimes it so happens that, say for example, you come from a particular state, so what all things are there of that state which you haven't studied as part of UPSC syllabus, but it may appear in the interview की questions, right? तो उस तरह के जो study material है, those would be provided to you. एक एग्जांपल के तौर पे, if you come from Vidarbh, it's a cotton growing area, right? So what are the problems of agriculture there? Cotton के issues क्या है, prices क्या क्या issues हैं, government की policies क्या है? इसका उतना डिटेल पढ़ाई आप नहीं करते एज पार्ट ऑफ सिलेबस, बट इंटरव्यू में आपको पूछा जा सकता है, तो उस तरह का कंटेंट आपको पहुंचाया जाएगा, राइट? देन interaction with successful candidates that we generally do every year with special sessions conducted by them. I'm not talking about their felicitation program, right? We call our students many a times, they come in these classrooms, यहाँ पे classroom में आते हैं, and they interact with you. ऐसे बहुत सारे sessions हमने conduct किए हैं, right? And we also call our students who are part of the administration now, IAS officers है, कई सारे IPS है, IRS है, IFS है. We call them whenever they are available in Pune or in other branches. So we duly call them, they interact with the students in terms of how they prepare for the examination, also what is their experience of the job, right? तो दोनों चीजों के लिए हम ये interactive sessions रखते हैं with successful candidates, right? And there is personal guidance as well, one-to-one, right? Classroom discussion के बाद, if you'd like to meet a particular faculty, faculties are available to you. You can come and meet them. You can have one-to-one interaction with them. As I said, you should write 1 or 2 questions when you complete a particular topic उसका study. तो उसके बाद you can come up with those answers, interact with the faculty members here. When there are no lectures, you can come here, take an appointment and meet with the concerned faculty, and they will give you enough amount of time that you require in terms of clarifying your doubts. So these are all parts of the unique way. And the last important thing which I have not mentioned here, मैंने mention नहीं किया है, मैं आपको सीधा बता रहा हूँ, ठीक है? आपका 1 year बैच खत्म हुआ, उसके बाद whatever you need till you get through this examination तो वो कनेक्ट रहेगा, ऐसा नहीं होगा कभी. I would give an example. This year जैनम जैन जो 103 रैंक है उसका, right? He is 3 years student of he was 3 years integrated batch का student of Unique Academy. His batch completed in 2019. 2019 में उसका बैच खत्म हुआ, but 2019, 2020, 2021, 22, 23, 4 साल के लिए he was continuously in touch, and he got all the guidance that he required. He has already spoken about this in the felicitation program, right? तो ऐसा नहीं कि बैच खत्म तो काम खत्म, ऐसा नहीं है. You would be given support whatever is required till you reach whatever destination you want to reach. IAS हो सकता है, IPS हो सकता है, कुछ भी हो सकता है, right? Number of attempts that you require. So all the attempts that you have, all through those attempts, you would get entire support from the academy, right? That is what we call unique way. So this is what I wanted to discuss today. So I briefly talked about what is UPSC examination structure, public admission क्या होता है, job का nature क्या है, briefly syllabus के topics कौन से हैं, right? Prelim examination means का nature क्या है, personality test. We talked about how to choose the optional subject, right? We talked about preparation as well, जिसके ऊपर detailed discussion कल हो जाएगा tomorrow, right? As part of the batch, right? And we also talked about what we do here as part of 1 year integrated course. This is what I intend to discuss today as a kind of prelude to the batch that is starting tomorrow, right?